For 13 years, Calloway has carried a warmth in her chest that no scan could name and no doctor could explain. It has lived under her ribs for so long that she stopped treating it like a symptom. She made it ordinary. She called it nerves. She called it growing up beside someone. She called it what happened when the person you loved had been in your life long enough to feel less like another person and more like part of the weather. Tonight, that warmth stops pretending to be harmless. It rises hard enough to take the room away from her. It shows her a cliff, a frozen sea, a boy suspended in impossible light, and she understands one thing before she understands anything else. The warmth was never only hers. Until now, I have shown you Jalen. I have shown you the fractures, the missing hours, the impossible things his body survived, while everyone around him learned to call survival a medical anomaly. Tonight, I open my eyes inside Soul, because the power did not stop at him, it reached her too. She is standing at her kitchen window on Thursday the 14th of November 2280, believing the night is small enough to survive without changing. Her hands smell faintly of dish soap. The last plate is drying on the rack. Her mother's jacket is still over the back of the chair, forgotten during the usual rush to night shift. Kari's music is thudding through the wall in the same unfinished loop he has been chasing for almost an hour. The warmth has been there since before dinner. Not pain, not exactly comfort either. It sits too deep for that. It feels like a hand held too long, the place where affection becomes pressure because no one has let go. Soul has felt it in classrooms, in transit pods, half asleep in the morning, standing beside Jalen when he insists he is fine, and the lie is so old between them it barely needs sound. She has felt it after fractures, when he goes quiet and the air around him seems to hold its breath. She has felt it so often that naming it would have made it less bearable. So she did what people do with mysteries they cannot afford to solve. She learned to live around it. The cortical link's ambient feed runs low at the edge of her awareness. Evening advisories, transit timing, no emergency flags, the calm municipal voice of a city claiming control over itself. Sector 9 is full of that voice. It slides over buildings, through sleep schedules, through school corridors and kitchen windows. It tells everyone what matters and what can be ignored. Across the street, the facade scrolls through routine updates in soft amber light. Nothing urgent, nothing dangerous, nothing that asks Saul to move. Then the warmth in her chest changes. It stops being a background. It floods upward, fast and total, and the world cuts out. Not a dropped signal. Saul knows what that feels like. This is not a flicker in the municipal feed or a local connection failure. This is deeper, upstream, something severing the ordinary layers of the world all at once. The ambient feed vanishes. Kari's music disappears mid-beat. The ventilation system falls silent. Even the low transit hum 2 levels below the building is gone. For the first time in her life, the apartment has no machine sound under it. The silence is absolute. It is not peaceful. It feels like standing inside a held breath that does not belong to a human body. Then she sees the cliff, not as a memory, not as an image sent through the link. She is there and not there, looking through a window with no frame and no location. The ocean below the cliff has stopped moving. A wave hangs in the air at the height of its breaking, every ridge of foam locked in place, every drop suspended as if time itself has been told to wait. Above the water, light spills from a figure in the air. Not white light, not blue, not anything the atmospheric processors have ever made in the sky over Sector 9. Colors without names move across him like a language too old for her to read. She sees Jalen. Fear arrives before thought. It is not vague, and it is not dramatic. It is clean, specific. He is in danger. She cannot reach him. Those two facts fill her so completely that the rest of the world becomes irrelevant. Her arm is already rising before she decides to call. The gesture interface blooms, thin and pale in the air. She calls him once, then again because waiting feels like obedience to a reality that has already broken. Her cortical link chimes. No answer. The vision releases. The apartment comes back in pieces. Window, sink, chair, Yvette's jacket, the hum of systems rebooting. Sol grabs the jacket on her way out. She does not leave a message for Kari. She does not write a note. Later, guilt will find those omissions and press on them. Later, she will think about how young he looked when he opened his bedroom door and found the apartment missing its center. But in that moment, there is no later. There is only the pressure under her sternum and the certainty that if she waits for permission, the world will become the kind of place where Jalen was alone when he needed her. Sol has never considered herself reckless. She likes reasons. She likes plans. She is her mother's daughter in that way. But love, when it is old enough, can move faster than reason and still know exactly where it is going. The pod is waiting in the building's street-level bay. It wakes as she approaches, polite and useless. Sol gives it the cliff. The system returns nothing. Location outside municipal grid. No stored destination. Please provide an address within service range. She tries again, describing the coastal edge, the dark water, the cliff face. The map offers her a gray square where the world should be, an absence dressed as data. Sol switches to manual. The pod refuses. Manual ground mode requires registered operator clearance. She is 17. Her clearance is residential, school, medical, local transit. Not wilderness roads. Not emergency override. Not a coastline the city has decided not to know. Her hands are shaking badly enough that she mistypes the code the first time. That almost breaks her. Not the vision, not the silence, not even Jalen failing to answer, but the small, humiliating fact of 12 digits slipping under her fingers while the system waits with perfect patience. She breathes once, then again. Yvette made her memorize the emergency submenu 2 years ago after a water treatment failure pulled her off-grid in the middle of the night. You may never need this, her mother had said, but if you do, I do not want your first emergency to be the first time you look for it. Sol had rolled her eyes because she was 15 and alive in a world that still felt supervised. Now she enters Yvette's municipal facilities code from memory. The pod pauses, verifies, and unlocks manual control. The acceptance tone sounds too bright in the quiet bay. Sol knows she is borrowing more than a vehicle setting. She is borrowing her mother's authority, her mother's name in a system that logs everything, her mother's trust. It should make her hesitate. It would on any other night. But the warmth in her chest has become directional, not emotional. It leans toward the dark beyond the city with the insistence of gravity. Sol puts both hands on the controls and drives. She has not driven manually since Yvette made her practice in a facility lot for 2 hours while Kari laughed from the back seat. The pod remembers the road differently than she does. It was built for routed corridors, for smooth rails of permission, for a city that tells machines where to go before humans can want anything complicated. On open ground, it feels nervous. The suspension reads every change in the surface like an argument. The steering feedback is stiff. The headlights give her 30 feet of future at a time, and she takes each piece as it arrives. Behind her, Sector 9 recedes in layers. Tower windows, facade feeds, transit glow, then the last comfortable evidence that the city is still there. The navigation display keeps insisting on absence. Unmapped terrain, no route available, outside service range. Sol stops looking at it. The road curves and she knows before the headlights show her. It dips and her foot eases before the pod drops. A fork appears, one trail barely visible under scrub grass, and the pull in her chest chooses left before her eyes finish asking the question. It frightens her how natural it feels. Not like hearing a voice, not like being controlled. Worse in a way. It feels like remembering something her body knew before she did. As if some part of her has been turned toward Jalen for years, and tonight, the world has finally become quiet enough for her to notice the direction. She tries not to think about the vision, the frozen water, the light, the impossible stillness around him. Those thoughts have edges too sharp to touch while she is driving too fast on a road that does not want her. So she thinks about ordinary Jalen instead. Jalen at 7, sullen and watchful, offering her half a fruit strip without making eye contact. Jalen at 9, standing between her and an older boy who called her strange, not because Sol could not defend herself, but because Jalen had seen the hurt land first. Jalen at 13, saying, "I'm fine," with his sleeve pulled over one wrist, and his eyes refusing to settle anywhere. Jalen now, taller, quieter, always carrying more silence than anyone should have to carry alone. 13 years makes a person into a language. Sol knows the grammar of Jalen's pauses. She knows the difference between his tired and his injured, his irritated and his afraid. She knows when a joke is a curtain, and when silence is a locked door. She has spent half her life learning him, without admitting that learning could be a form of devotion. The warmth always seemed to belong to that devotion. What else would it be? What else could she call the sensation of standing near someone and feeling her own body become more aware of itself? She had chosen the simplest answer because the complicated one would have required proof. Tonight, the proof is dragging her through the dark. The salt smell reaches her before the ocean does. It slips through the pod's filtration with a mineral sharpness the city never allows indoors. The air outside looks thicker in the headlights, full of wind and grit and whatever the coast has been keeping for itself. Then the trail appears. Pale rock, dry grass, a dark drop beyond it. Sol kills the engine. The quiet that comes in after is not the same as the apartment silence, but it rhymes with it. No building hum, no transit undernote, no ambient feed muttering that everything has been categorized. Just wind, water, and the pressure in her chest pulling so hard toward the cliff that she has to brace one hand against the pod before she steps out. Someone is standing at the base of the trail. For half a second, he is only a shape in the headlights. Tall, motionless, jacket open in the November wind. Then Sol recognizes the posture. Weight slightly forward. Shoulders held with practiced control. The stance of a man who has spent his life becoming the calmest object in any room. Jalen Osei should not be here. Sol has known Jalen's father since she was 7, and she has never seen him anywhere that did not seem arranged around purpose. Kitchens, research terminals, the study with the half-closed door. School events he attended with a seriousness that made other parents look theatrical. Echo belongs to rooms with data in them. He does not belong under a black cliff outside the municipal grid. He turns when the light reaches him. His face changes when he sees her. Surprise first, then calculation, then something Sol has no category for because she has never seen it on him before. Fear. Jalen Osei, senior Meridian analyst, father of the most careful boy Sol knows, looks at her as if her arrival has answered a question he did not want answered. She is out of the pod before she remembers to be intimidated. Where is Jalen? The question comes out stripped of everything polite. Eco's mouth tightens, and that tells her too much. He does not know. "I was going to ask you the same thing," he says. His voice is steady, but Sol can hear the effort under it. That scares her more than if he had shouted. "He is not answering his cortical link," Echo says. "I have been calling since the event registered." Sol hears the word and catches on it. What event? Echo studies her, and she sees the two versions of him dividing the moment between them. The father wants to withhold enough to protect her. The analyst understands that she has arrived at classified source coordinates with no map, no clearance, and no explanation a normal system can accept. The analyst wins because the father is too frightened to waste time. The Meridian sensor grid recorded a Class 4 event centered on this location at 2117, he says. Every major instrument in Sector 9 activated simultaneously. This is the highest classification before a stability threat declaration. His cortical link chimes. He ignores it. Sol watches that more closely than she watches his face. Echo does not ignore Meridian. Echo does not ignore systems, reports, instruments, institutional alarms. He is the kind of man who treats urgency like weather. Measurable, survivable, something to move through with clean hands. But the link chimes again, and he lets it. "Saul," he says, quieter now, "how did you know to come here?" She could lie. She wants to, for a moment, because the truth sounds childish and impossible. "My chest told me. My body pulled me here. I followed something I have spent years pretending was only love." But there is no useful lie in her. Not tonight. "I did not know," she says. "The navigation gave me a gray square when the route ended. After that, I drove where the feeling told me to drive." Echo does not ask what feeling. That is how Soul knows he already suspects. The wind moves between them. The ocean hammers the rocks below with blunt, patient force. "This location is not in any civil navigation system," he says. "There is no transit route, no municipal marker, no reason for you to be able to find it." His eyes drop once, briefly, to her chest. Not in a way that feels invasive. In a way that feels like he is looking at evidence he wished had not survived. "How long?" he asks. The question lands before the explanation. Soul knows what he means. "How long have you felt it?" Echo says anyway, because he is precise even when afraid. "The warmth in your chest, the pressure, the unexplained sensation when you are near my son, or when something happens to him." The old story inside Soul opens and she sees the hole in it. Years of standing beside Jalen and calling the warmth normal. Years of waking at strange hours. Years of feeling her body answer something no one else could hear. "Years," she says, her voice is smaller than she wants it to be. "I thought it was just what being near him felt like. I thought that was how it worked when you loved someone long enough." Echo goes still. Not the stillness of control, the stillness of impact. His cortical link chimes a third time. This time he raises his arm and silences it completely. Soul understands enough to know that he has just chosen not to be available during the largest anomalous event Sector 9 has recorded in years. She does not yet understand what that choice costs him. She only knows that something in his face has moved from fear into grief. Not grief for someone dead, grief for something begun too long ago to undo. "It isn't," he says. 2 words. Quiet. Final. He offers no comfort after them, and somehow that makes them feel more true. "It isn't." Soul turns the words over in silence. It is not what being near Jalen feels like. It is not ordinary. It is not only love. She wants to ask what it is, but the question would open too much while Jalen is still missing. So she stands beside Echo at the base of the trail and lets the cold work through her sleeves. Yvette's jacket is too thin for the coast. She does not zip it because her fingers have gone clumsy. Echo takes calls in a voice that gives away nothing to the people listening. He says, "Source containment unknown." He says, "No visual confirmation." He says, "Hold classification pending my return." Soul hears the machinery waking around them, all those distant rooms filling with people who will want Jalen turned into a report. Between calls, Echo's hand rises twice to his collar, pressing against something beneath his shirt. Both times he catches himself and drops it. Soul files the motion away because she has spent a lifetime surviving on what people do not say. Jalen has a version of the same reflex. When he is nervous, his fingers worry at his sleeves as if cloth can hold him together. She has seen it 1,000 times. Tonight, watching Echo press his collar and stop himself, she sees father and son overlap in a place neither of them would know how to name. It makes Jalen feel closer and farther away at once. It makes Soul ache with the unfairness of knowing people best when they are trying hardest not to be known. The waiting stretches. Time behaves badly after fear. Minutes lengthen, then vanish. The warmth in Soul's chest does not fade, but it changes again. It becomes steadier, a low current pointed toward the trail. She can feel Jalen somewhere beyond sight, not as an image now, not as a voice, as pressure, rhythm, a pulse that is not hers, but has been living beside hers for so long that separation feels theoretical. Echo asks once if she is cold. She says no. He accepts the lie because both of them have chosen the same superstition. If they keep still, if they do not ask for too much, if they do not turn fear into words, Jalen might come back through the dark. Then he does. Jalen is on the trail. Sol does not see him arrive. There is no footstep that begins him, no shape slowly separating from the cliff face. One moment the trail is empty, the next he is walking toward them through the headlight beam. The last traces of impossible color move over his hands, fading from his skin like a signal losing range. He looks almost ordinary, and that almost is unbearable. His jacket is torn at one sleeve. His face has the terrible blankness of someone who has seen something too large and is carrying it carefully so it does not spill out. He looks at Sol first. She has seen most of Jalen Osei's faces. The bored classroom face. The small private smile he tries to hide by looking away. The fracture face, pale and deliberate. His body moving like it belongs to someone he is responsible for returning undamaged. The face he wears when he is lying for other people's comfort. This is new. There is distance behind his eyes, not because he is withholding from her exactly, but because some part of him has not fully come back to the cliff yet. Sol, he says. Her name sounds like a question and an apology and a relief at once. Yeah, she says, because everything else is too big for language. She reaches him before she can decide whether she should. Her arms go around him. For 1 second, his body is tense with surprise. Then he folds into the contact like something in him has been waiting for permission to be real again. The warmth in Sol's chest surges, but this time it does not feel like pressure. It meets something in him. The same depth, the same note. Two hidden currents recognizing each other under the skin. Sol has no word for resonance yet. She has no word for what it means that part of Jalen has been answering part of her for years. She only knows that he is solid, breathing, here. She holds on long enough that any other night he would tease her. He does not. Echo gives them a moment, and that restraint is its own kind of tenderness. Then he steps forward and places one hand on Jalen's shoulder. Not hard, not possessive, just certain, as if confirming the evidence with touch because the instruments have failed him. Jalen reaches up and covers his father's hand with his own. Sol looks down before either of them can notice her seeing it. There are moments between people that do not belong to the witness, even when the witness understands their weight. Echo goes very still when Jalen reaches for him. Then his other hand comes up and covers both of theirs. 3 hands in the cold light. No one speaks. The ocean fills the silence for them. After that, Echo becomes the analyst again, because the father needs a structure, or he will break. His questions come carefully, one placed after another, building a path through what Jalen can bear to answer. Where were you? What did you see? Did the event originate here or somewhere accessed through here? Did you experience time normally? Did anything make contact? Jalen answers in pieces. A door in the cliff face. A room that was not part of Sector 9. Air that did not taste processed. A woman he recognized from photographs. Something she gave him or showed him. He is not sure which yet. Light in his hands. The fractures being mislabeled. Not random failures, but symptoms of something trying to open. Sol hears the gaps. She knows Jalen too well not to. There is a name he does not say. A detail he steps around. A truth still too hot to hand over, even to his father, even to her. She could press. Part of her wants to, because fear has earned answers, and because the warmth in her chest has made her involved, whether anyone planned to tell her or not. But she lets him keep the unsaid thing for now. Love is not only knowing where to reach, sometimes it is knowing where not to put your hands yet. So she stands close enough that he knows she stayed, far enough that he can choose the order of his own story. They walk back to the pod. The last light fades from Jalen's fingertips as he moves. It diminishes slowly, prismatic color becoming a faint shimmer, then a suggestion, then nothing. Sol knows better now. Ordinary is not proof of safety. The city has always been good at making impossible things look administratively manageable. A fracture becomes a diagnosis. A disappearance becomes an incident. A miracle becomes a classified event. When Jalen comes within range of the pod's repeater, his cortical link chimes so many times it blurs into one sound. He checks it once and lowers his arm without responding. Echo's link has been accumulating messages since he silenced it. He does not look either. On the dashboard, the ambient feed has returned with its calm amber crawl. Atmospheric anomaly detected. Coastal Sector 9. No action required. Saul reads it and feels something in her heart. No action required. The city can put that under almost anything if the right people write it. No action required for a frozen ocean. No action required for a boy returning from a room that should not exist. No action required for a girl whose body found him without a map. The drive back is slower. Fear no longer pushes the pod forward, and exhaustion leaves Saul heavy in her own bones. Jalen says very little. Echo says less. The city grows ahead of them in layers. First a glow, then towers, then facade feeds sliding information across glass as if nothing has happened beyond their reach. Saul watches Jalen's reflection in the window. He looks younger when he is tired. Not younger like a child, but younger like someone who has had to be older than himself for too long and has finally run out of grip. Once, his hand shifts toward his sleeve. He stops before touching it. Saul sees Echo notice. Neither of them speaks. Yvette is home when Saul returns. Her shift should run until 6, but she is at the kitchen table in her work jacket with a cup of tea gone untouched between her hands. The apartment is quiet in a different way now. Not impossible. Domestic. Waiting. Kari's door is closed down the hall, but Saul can tell he is awake from the thin line of light beneath it. Her mother's eyes move over her once, cataloging no blood, no visible injury, borrowed jacket, salt on the cuffs, face changed. Yvette has always been able to read a room before anyone explains it. Tonight, that ability feels less like control and more like mercy. "You took my code," Yvette says. She is not angry. Anger would be easier. Anger would let Saul defend herself and collapse the night into something normal, something with consequences small enough to argue about. But Yvette gives her the truth plainly and leaves room around it. "I had an emergency," Saul says. Her voice sounds worn through. Yvette nods once. "I know. Kari came to get me when he heard you leave. Municipal facilities logged my override in the coastal grid at 2123. The same coastal grid broadcasting a Class 4 advisory at 2117. She lifts the tea, remembers she is holding it, sets it down again. "Are you safe?" Saul thinks about the question. Safe is not simple anymore. Safe cannot mean untouched, because something has been impressing upon her for 13 years. Safe cannot mean uninvolved, because her body found a place no map could. Safe cannot mean unnoticed, because somewhere in Meridian, systems are already sorting the night into files and categories and access permissions. But Jalen is alive. He came back from the cliff. His hand covered his father's hand. Saul is home. Her mother is across the table. For this hour, in this kitchen, with the city running its ordinary lie outside the window, the answer is yes. "I'm safe," Saul says. Yvette studies her, and chooses to believe the part of it that is true. "Okay," Yvette says. "Tell me when you're ready." That is Yvette's gift and her cruelty, depending on the day. She can wait longer than almost anyone. She can hold a door open without dragging you through it. When Saul was 6, that patience felt like distance. At 12, it felt like being misunderstood. Tonight, it feels like shelter. Saul sits. Yvette pushes the tea toward her. Neither of them drinks it. The ambient feed on the building across the street loops the same transit update it always runs after midnight. For a while, Saul lets that ordinary repetition hold the edges of the room together. The warmth has settled again, but Saul can no longer mistake quiet for innocence. It sits under her ribs with a new shape, altered by Echo's 2 words, "It isn't." She hears them under everything. Under the clink of the cup, under Yvette's controlled breathing, under Kari moving once behind his closed door and then going still again. It isn't what she thought. It isn't only love. It isn't ordinary. Saul does not know what it is yet, and that not knowing becomes its own kind of room around her. A room she has apparently been living in since childhood without seeing the walls. Kari opens his door once after midnight. Saul hears him pad into the kitchen, pour water, and pause just out of sight. He does not ask. He is 14, which is old enough to know something happened and young enough that not asking costs him. Saul loves him fiercely in that moment, forgiving her silence when curiosity would have been easier. He goes back to his room. The door closes softly. Yvette's eyes flick toward the hall, then back to Saul. A whole conversation passes between them without sound. Later, there will be explanations. Later, there will be consequences. Tonight, the Calloways do what they have always done when the world becomes too large. They sit together until it can be survived. The tea goes cold. The city continues. Somewhere, Meridian is awake. Somewhere, Echo Osei is choosing which truth can be hidden, which truth must be reported, and which truth will cost him his son if the wrong person asks the right question. Somewhere, Jalen is alone with whatever he did not say on the trail. Saul can feel him faintly now, not as a pull, but as a presence at the edge of her awareness, like a light behind a closed door. She does not reach for it. She does not know how. She only sits with her mother and holds the knowledge that the story she told herself has broken open. For 13 years, Saul called the warmth in her chest ordinary, because ordinary was the only word that let her keep living beside it. She thought it was the cost of loving someone for most of her life. She thought closeness could explain the way her body answered Jalen before her mind did. It was not ordinary. It was not only closeness. It was the boy's power leaking into her, soaking into her life quietly enough to become part of her before anyone gave her a name for it. She does not know that yet. She only knows there is a hole in the old explanation, and the rest of the truth is already coming through. I would spare her the arrival of that truth if I could. I would spare her the moment when love becomes evidence, when devotion becomes a system no one asked to join, when the thing that saved her also marks her. But this is not a story about being spared. It is a story about what survives after powerful people decide survival itself should be classified. I am Kanea, and I keep this account because the people who run Saul's world try to erase what happened to her, to Jalen, and to everyone the light touched. If you want to know what the warmth really is, and what it will ask of the girl who carried it without knowing, stay with me. Come back, and I will open my eyes again. If this is a story you want to see continue, leave a like and subscribe.
I wish I could give you up, but you're my new favorite drug. Enter into my blood, run with my toxic love.